Hi, and welcome back to FireTech Talk. Today we are joined by Karalynn Cromeens, construction attorney. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
We're going to be diving in and answering all of our contract law questions.
Very important topic.
It is, absolutely. So let's jump right into it.
Go ahead.
So first question here. Fire equipment distributors, or FEDs, install and maintain safety equipment in buildings. From a legal standpoint, are they considered to be subcontractors? And if so, what exactly does that mean?
So generally, and especially on new construction or new builds, that position would be called subcontractors. And how that normally works is the owner obviously is building a project, whether that's a state or local or government. Their owner hires a general contractor who's basically running all the construction, and one component of that is the fire prevention, right?
Sure.
And so they have subcontracts with all of their guys, including the fire prevention guys. And so a big part of what my job is to help subcontractors read and understand what those subcontracts mean, because over the years they have gotten very much one-sided, and if you don't understand what you're signing, it really can be harmful.
Absolutely.
So.
Nice. So kind of continuing off of that, should FEDs be concerned with contractual relationships with a new building owner, or is it okay to just continue servicing extinguishers without a new contract, even if that building has changed hands?
So I think, so we had the subcontracts on new construction. Most of the equipment distributors are service-based contracts, which is an existing service contract that just extends for as long as they own the company or own the property. And so what can happen is, and the contractor might not even be aware, is that the owner sells the property, but they still need the fire prevention inspections on a yearly basis. And so the terms of your contract will not automatically carry over to the new owner. Now let me say that if you do work and you don't get paid, you're still entitled to be paid without a written contract or not. But there are some very important provisions in your service contract that you're going to want with that owner, like limitations of liability and how to protect yourself if something goes wrong, that you want the new owner to sign. And so basically, and you might be able actually too to raise your prices from where you were when you signed with the original owner. So it's probably good if you, and I don't know exactly how you would find out, maybe you go inspect and you realize there's new people there, and like, oh hey, this is what we do, you can't operate without us, so here's our new service agreement. So it's actually probably a good sales tool too.
So with FEDs in today's market, building up their businesses, they're very proud of it, but they're looking to potentially sell down the road, they're buying and selling, whatever it may be. How important are those written contracts when they come time to sell?
So I think there's this is a multi-dimensional answer, right? So the biggest thing that as a service company that you can have is a consistent source of income. And so that is on the sales side. If you're ever looking to sell your business, you want to stack it with income that's going to come in with very little effort. And so having these service contracts is huge. And so having a well-written service contract that basically some of the key points would be that has a monthly fee or a yearly fee, automatically renews at an increased rate. So, and the better contract you have, if you were ever to sell your business, which I know happens a lot, like people get to the point where they're like, hey, I want to sell this. If you have all those contracts in great order and it's, and they automatically renew, that is priceless to somebody who's looking to come in to buy your business, that you're all set up, everything's ready to go. So I think those are hugely important, especially looking at from the perspective if you're going to sell your business. And probably some of the companies, and I've talked to some guys who, and I've been here talking, that have lots of companies that they service but don't have any contracts. And that's bad for multiple reasons, but one of the biggest reasons, if you ever wanted to sell your company, there's nothing on the books.
Sure.
I'm saying that you can't, here's my assets, but I have them all, but I don't have any contracts, so they can just change their mind at any time. So if you lock them into a legal document that makes them pay over year, that's priceless.
Yeah, absolutely. So going off of contracts and having written contracts, what happens if an FED gets into a situation where he feels like he needs to refuse signing a certain contract?
And that'll happen from time to time. And so in a commercial aspect, if you're getting a subcontract from a general contractor and you don't sign it, you probably won't get the job. And so what I recommend, instead of not signing the contract, is let's go through and evaluate the risk, and then we can tell you what those are, and you can sign a document that you understand. Because usually, the subcontracts that come out are very one-sided, but we can take some time to go through it, explain it, and then now has been the time, if ever in the industry, that we can make change on these subcontracts is now. Sure. Because they need us way more than we need them. So we're having some traction in negotiating the one-sided terms in subcontracts. So it's not so much never sign them, but let's have the conversation about some of the dangerous terms in there and how we can negotiate those so that you can still run a business and not have to take this huge amount of risk like these contracts are asking you to do.
Absolutely. So continuing down, most FEDs don't want legal issues to crop up when taking on new work. What steps do they need to take early in that relationship to ensure later on they're not going to be facing any legal ramifications?
So there are a couple things. There are two big things that pop out to me. And a lot of my job that I try to do is be preventative, right? I want to help you on the front end. If you sign that contract and things go south, it's kind of too late.
Sure.
So my job is to get in there and tell you, okay, let's review this contract, let's find out what's in there, let's eliminate the risk as much as we can. So that's on the contract side, knowing everything that's in there, like the pay when paid clause is a big one that we're trying to push back on, which basically says a subcontractor won't get paid until the general contractor gets paid by the owner. And there could be a multitude of reasons that that doesn't happen. So one of the huge risks is that as a subcontractor, you could have to cash flow the whole project or your whole scope of work without getting paid. So those are one of the things I push back on. Another thing that I think having in mind on the front end is like, what if this job becomes a collection issue, right? So some of these guys, the construction industry works where subs work and then wait to get paid. And so sometimes, even though some projects go south, having that consistent collection strategy that this is what I'm going to do, regardless of the project or whatever, and it's usually based on cash flow timelines and then the lien rules for your state. So every state allows what's called a mechanics lien on the property that you're improving to the value that you've improved it with your labor and material. Now, each state is different on when you have to send notice and file the liens, but there's no penalty for doing it early. So if you get in a situation where you're 60 days out, you haven't gotten paid, you send out a notice that you're going to file a lien, usually that's part of a consistent collection strategy, which would then help you collect your money, which I think is one of the biggest risks, besides the contracts that contractors take that need to be protected from.
You want to make sure you get paid. That's a big part of it.
Absolutely. No one wants to work for free.
Yeah, hopefully not. Well, Karalynn, we still have a few phenomenal questions to go over here, but unfortunately we're out of time, so we're going to cut here. Be sure to like and subscribe to the Brooks YouTube channel for part 2 of this discussion coming soon. Thank you.